I do.
This is the coldest room.
Yeah. And I know, so Ryan is stapling and we still have folks seated and you introduced, I said, while everybody's kind of getting settled and Ryan's finalizing, because I know we're live. Hey Josh, come on in, grab a stack of papers, sir. But I thought too, Ann, we could quickly introduce ourselves to you.
Yes, that'd be
too,
great.
Since this is your first meeting and ourselves a tiny bit of time here too. So, well, I'm Tracy Buchanan. I'm chair, well, I was chair of the board last year. We'll find out today. So we're gonna introduce ourselves last year role.
There we go.
Chair of the board, and member at large.
Okay.
And so, we'll pass to Martha.
I'm Krista Quinn. I am an advisor to the board. I'm the Conway County Extension agent.
Gotcha. Okay.
Urban forestry consultant, I
Urban
guess, is
forestry
our
consultant. Yeah.
official role for her on this
Okay.
board last year.
I'm Sam Little. I'm a member at large.
Okay.
I'm Skylar Swope. I work for the Parks and Rec Department. I'm also a member at large and at least of last year was the secretary.
Okay.
I'm Shani Jackson. I'm also a member.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Josh Draper, former vice chair and small business member.
Okay.
Local operation representative, local pride.
Gotcha.
Amy White, I'm a member at large.
Okay.
I'm Scott Meek, Green Bay Packaging, and I'm a resident, but I'm not sure.
Member at large.
Member at large.
He is an expert professional, not in a capacity role here, but.
Gotcha.
I'm Ryan.
That's right.
And Ann, so you were enrolled since October as planning director?
November 6th is when I
November
started,
6th.
yeah.
Okay. But no stranger to planning, because you've been on planning commission too, right?
I was on
And city
planning commission
council?
for 9 years and on city council for 2. So that's my resume with the city.
All right. Well, I guess I will officially call us to order at 4:32. All right. So it's been a while. I feel a little rusty. Our last meeting was in November and a lot's happened, and happy holidays and happy new year to everybody. Glad to see y'all. And so just to refresh us, in November, I know we'll vote to accept the minutes here in a second, but just quickly in November, not a lot of forward-thinking discussions, but we did talk about some hindsighting. We did talk about projects we've got to be thinking about that you might want to throw into the mix for consideration for 2024. And I don't know if there were any questions about the minutes that I sent out. I know there were some absences in November. And if not, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Seconded. Yes. Okay. All right. Oh, I want to back up. One thing I did in the November minutes, I said that I would complete the 4 red oak plantings. That is not complete. So we went out there and there's a lot of gravel, and then it got dry, and then it got cold, and we were sick in the holidays. So I do still have the 4 red oaks, so we need to determine like a date of when we want to do that. I'm keeping them alive. I don't think it's anything urgent. So know that that is the one thing pending that I said I would get done that I could not complete. So I will ask for some support and help. Yeah, so we're not using Parks and Rec. We can get those in the ground, but it's going to take more than one person to get those in the ground there in that location. So I did include in our little packets for today's meeting the location that was approved and where we want to put those in. So it's actually, I know we're kind of jumping ahead and backwards, but it's probably like that 5th page back. There's just a Google Earth map going right there on Tucker Creek off of Reedy Road.
I've got one right here. Do you need it? You can have it.
Either I was going to say I have our agenda, but we can share here. But anyway, so there's like a really neat little bench. There's a place, there's several places we could put them. But there's a nice place with the bench right there across from that neighborhood that would be a good fit. But like I said, the soil is a little rough. We are closer to here's the stream, right? So there is, if you look, kind of hard to tell, like if you're looking kind of right here in this little crook, there's like a bench and a light pole. And so we thought maybe across closer on the creek bed side, we could put those. It'd be a nice windbreak, be good visibility, or, you know, pretty in the fall, space those out, and there's houses across it. I appreciate some of that too. So it's a really neat spot. It's pretty over there. But plenty of space to get those trees in the ground. So later I'll ask to kind of decide when we're ready to plan on dates for that. So, and I think that is the only other change for minutes. Okay. All right. I did include in your packets as well the ledger of our final balance at the end of December. So, and in your packet on packet, this is nothing for us to review, but I did share the year-end report that I sent to the city at the end of the year. I think I emailed you all on it, but it's nice to see a wrap-up of some of the things that we've accomplished over the past year. And as we reflect or think about what we want to do moving forward, we can consider what we already have going on that goes very well for us. So I did include that in there for you. The November minutes are included. And then the next piece is the ledger that Lauren sends to us. And so we currently have 1,098 in the account. I do want to remind us that 500 of that is encumbered for when we get to do the brick installation at Laurel Park, which I do see that there's some work going on there. So I feel hopeful that maybe this is the year we get those bricks installed at Laurel Park. So we'll stay close to that. But so we have about $598. So some more for trees.
So is that funds from, because we ended up having to kind of dip into some, I forget the name.
Our maintenance and
Yes.
operations
Okay, and so is
funds.
that what's left of that?
So the 598 would be M&O, or I don't really know how it rolls over with the
Okay.
city, if that's
Okay.
like, if we still consider that encumbered, because I think we voted to release all of that
Oh, yeah.
use for Arbor Day, thinking we might go over, but we actually have some additional funds. And to back up, none of it's been appropriated probably for 2024, so
February city council meeting.
February city council, that's when it'll be officially voted in, appropriated, if that's the right term, and then we will officially claim those funds as ours.
I don't think we'll have our meeting after that, so I think we'll still have to wait until March to really find out.
But the things, you know, but for the earlier projects like our tree giveaway, we already have the things purchased for that and the supplies. So I mean, that should not be an issue for funding. So, and then while we're talking about funding too, so we did submit the funding request to City Council to be considered for some of the ongoing programs to add to some of our additional funds so that we can go further with what we're already doing. I did speak with Ryan. I'm talking, look, I'm taking your
Oh, no,
city updates, sorry. But since we did speak, that didn't actually happen in December, I believe will happen in January.
January, supposedly.
Yeah, so we'll stay tuned on that. But we know those are just kind of extra ongoing programs with the exception of the professional development, but we can make plans for that once we find out. And would it behoove us or someone to be at the city council meeting? Do we need to be there to
I can
pitch? You'll be our guy.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Appreciate that. Okay. All right. Any questions about funds? All right, so now we just want to go into a business discussion, and I think if you don't mind, Ryan, I'll let you kind of take this portion.
Yes, I passed out a draft of Article 2 to everyone. Article 1 was passed by the city bylaws for every committee. And I have copies here. That I need you one.
Do you want more copy?
Article 2. I don't. I'll give you one.
Is this the same as what you sent me the other day?
That's Article 1. I believe.
Because if so, then I can.
Yeah, that's Article 2.
That's on, okay.
So Article 1's been passed. So it's citywide. All boards and commissions have the same Article 1. Article 2 is what you can look at and kind of make your own. So I passed out the draft of Article 2 that we created. Just take a look at it over the next month. See if you want changes made. If you think it's okay, and then we can vote on that in February.
Now, what changes to Article 1 happened? Because I think there was some were there some
There's
changes
term limit
with term limit
changes. service on all boards and commissions are now limited to 1 term, and then you have to roll off and take a break before you can come back on. And I'll pass this out to everyone, and you can look through it.
And I can forward that email too if you
Yeah,
want. I just wasn't
I've got
sure
it.
if that was.
But I'll pass this out to all you guys before you leave, and you can take a look at it and let me know your thoughts. But Article 1's been passed by City Council. Article 2 is kind of specific to the tree board, where you can make changes and kind of do your own thing with it. And I've drafted it, but we can make changes if we need to on it.
No, you said for Article 1, what was it that you can only do for a year and then they have to come?
1 term limit,
Consecutive.
yes.
So for us, no one on this board currently would roll off. 2024 would be the first for any of us to roll off, and that would be
We had
me,
nobody roll off this past year, so like she'll roll off after
me,
this
Scott,
year.
Josh.
So,
So we do 3-year terms?
Mhm.
And then do you have to wait a full 3 years? Do you have to wait a full term?
I believe so.
Well,
I know that
Definitely
it's like that on
term.
planning commission, but I wasn't sure about.
I believe it's the
Tree.
same. Article 1 should be the same for everybody,
Okay,
so it would be a term.
it would be 1 term for you.
But that person could still be like a friend of the board or
Yeah,
still?
absolutely. They can be involved, they just can't be a board member.
Yes, please stay involved.
Yeah.
Please don't go anywhere. Yeah.
Other than that, we've got some, Logan, we need some information from you. Yeah, I think that's it.
With respect to roles also, because I know we're gonna talk about board roles.
My email address is wrong on here.
Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
one, we need to get all that corrected. So if
So
you
I
see
have-
anything that's wrong, let's make sure and update it so we can get it.
I have 3 one for me. Krista is gonna update our friends contact list, because she has that database, then Skylar, unless someone else is secretary in a little bit, we'll pass this around and have you update on this one form, and then the secretary will kind of report back and we'll forward that on to the city. Okay, so she'll do friends, she'll do board.
Lastly, I was approved to go to the storm preparedness workshop this month, so I will be there.
Nice.
You guys should come too.
It's $30. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, I got, and we had, yes, that's great. Okay.
So handy that it's right here in town.
I
I
know.
know.
Yeah.
I'm glad I had a
And that, what date is that workshop?
The 25th. Thursday,
25th.
January 25th.
Conway Expo Center.
Okay.
Here.
All right. What you got for us?
That's all.
Any
We'll know more
other
about money
changes
as we
with how?
go forward, as far as our board's concerned, no? We're good.
And I did not, and, you know, I may have been remiss in noticing this before, but was kind of stood out as a change is that I will contact you before I reach out to other people for
Mhm.
partnership and things like that. And I think I may have skipped level, jumped that a couple of times, full transparency. So I did notice that as a change too. So if there's any ideas of projects, partnerships, resources, people we want to reach out to, either we'll go directly to Ryan, or if y'all want to field it through me, and then we'll
Just
let
email
him
me.
kind of lead that. Yeah,
Yeah.
just a quick email for that. Okay. All right.
I try to be more involved in this board than I think maybe people in the past have, so.
You have, and it has definitely showed, and I hope we have shown our appreciation, and that's not just fluff business. It really does mean a lot that you're there on the weekend. And not only did you do that, but you brought your family, you brought council members, like it was really good. So I feel really great about that. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. All right. Moving on. So I guess board roles. We do need to discuss those, and I'll make a motion, I guess. Is that what I need to do to discuss and vote on board roles? So clarify for me, because I know we're getting more official with our roles. So term limits and role limits, is there anything that we need to consider for that? Because I don't, the difference between, are we going off the new Article 1 effective today? Okay. And that was the one thing I wasn't sure about. Got too many papers. I should have stayed. All right. So,
I mean, it's a year-long appointment, like always.
Yes.
It's on page 2 at the bottom, section 2.04.
Chair, vice chair, and secretary.
So this is kind of like a reset, so it says 1-year term. Does that mean that if I'm coming off of being secretary last year, can I still be secretary this year? Okay, and then next year, it'll have to be something else.
So you can all keep the same roles if that's how you want to vote.
okay.
And then next year, I think you'll fall off with the, so keep that in mind.
And whoever's vice chair needs to be ready to step
Yes.
in.
I was gonna say, thank you, because I was gonna say for consideration next year, whoever would like to.
That's what I was gonna ask. Is this a progressive board or, I mean, is that in the bylaw that it's a progressive?
Not necessarily, but we would like for the vice chair to be ready to step into the chair role if needed.
So, okay. So I'm not quite sure how to move
So
forward
who
on
wants,
this. So does someone want to change roles? Do I want to make a motion to let vote?
I'm gonna roll over next year, so somebody else should be the vice chair this year, so
Oh,
that
did you
Train can
drop
take
off
over
next
next
year
year.
too? All three of us.
Yeah.
Like to make a motion to, I guess.
So we can go by
vote for-
position. Well, so in terms of chair, do I need to ask not to vote for me? Do we want-
You
Motion
can nominate
to,
yourself.
Would you like to make a
Fine.
nomination? Sorry, I'm so
Yeah, motion
rusty.
to open nominations on
Open
the
nominations for
chair
voting.
position.
Board roles.
I nominate Tracy.
I'll second.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Cool. All in favor?
Any other nominations?
All in favor? And any other nominations? Anyone else would like to? Okay.
Nope.
All right. So vice chair.
Motion to nominate for vice chair.
Who wants to do it?
Right, yeah.
So is there anyone interested in aspirations to move? Well, I can nominate someone, but is there anyone
And
who
they
would
have
like
to
to nominate
be
themselves?
second year on the board this year. Yeah.
Which is everybody, we don't have anyone.
Oh,
who's
you're
already
right.
on.
Anyone
Sure,
mean
yeah.
that?
on
Everyone's new
last
last year, so.
Yeah.
Janie, are you interested in this?
I would
Did
love
you hear
to,
that?
but I do know,
That's a no.
I tend to overcommit. I have a lot going on, and so I
Well,
just
would
don't
like
know.
to have you commit here before you.
Well, okay, so I took over. I just took over another
That was
group,
smooth, dude. That was
and we're
smooth.
doing a lot
Your
with
term.
this group.
Okay,
Amy, would you like to do
Yeah.
vice chair?
I would not.
Same.
Secretary.
Yeah,
I gotta tell you, vice chair really isn't that hard. I didn't really do.
It didn't seem like it
A whole lot.
was, but
It's
I've
just-
just
But it's a
kinda been
commitment for the
thinking-
chair.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Be ready to take over
It's
as
a
the chair.
commitment to
Maybe, I
consider
mean,
the
they
chair.
can nominate
It's a
someone
commitment to
else.
consider the chair. That does not mean come next year you are an automatic, right?
Correct.
So
It
if
still
you
has
would
to
like
be-
to,
You're just gonna be responsible for orientation and training new members.
We're still on that.
I mean,
we can train ourselves on.
actually, that's
all
good. This could be a good year to work on like guidelines for that at some
Well, I
point.
think
Well,
we
and
had kind of talked
communications
about
with
doing
the
those
city,
things.
and
It's
I-
just like what we talked about that.
We're not gonna run into any
issue.
issues with like me working for the city and being vice chair with that, right? If I do take that. We're gonna have like, what is it, conflict?
Conflict of interest.
Yes.
And are you on any other committees or boards? Okay. I can't answer
So, cause I was like, if
My
that,
gut says it might be an issue, but
Uh,
let me find out.
cause I remember, I
About
think it
city
was,
staff.
Alicia was kind of surprised I was still on the board.
We can leave it open until next meeting if
Okay.
you want, we
Yeah.
want to check on that.
I would think that there are natural checks and balances set into the bylaws that would prevent that from being
think we
a
can-
conflict of
I
interest.
think we can.
come on?
Yes, so, yeah.
No, we do have
My
city
assistant
staff
director
positions.
was part of it. Like originally, the original bylaws is we had someone from the city that was on the board, and that was my assistant director. So we've always kind of kept it as a parks person.
Like
I
Grace
gotcha.
City,
But,
which is
yeah.
me.
I definitely see, because
I mean, like, worst case scenario, there would just
In
be
that
things I would
position,
just
you
not
would
be
be
able
a
to
rep.
vote
Anything in there
on,
that
which we
says
have
that
an odd number of people
executive
anyway,
committee
so
members
as long
can't
as
be
it's
ex
a
officio.
majority
I'm gonna
vote
sit
with
with
my
Alicia.
absence on the
Because he's
vote.
ex officio, right?
we would
No,
be
he's
fine.
voting on
Oh, is he
I'm
voting?
ex officio.
He's ex officio, so is Krista.
Yes. So I do not mind nominating myself for that if that is approved per the city.
I'll nominate you.
If it's a conflict, I'll do it. If it's a conflict, I'll be
You're a
there.
fantastic secretary.
He is. That's. I don't want to be a
Hurt.
secretary. I'll just say that.
I'm concerned
I
at
am going to
losing.
give Tracy some credit on that, because it was already set up pretty well, so.
Well, and we are a team, right? So I think
That's why you gotta give your credit
that
there,
we do,
so.
you know, it's not
Yeah,
one all, it's
If
just
we wanna run that
taking
by
lead on a.
whoever needs to have that ran by.
I'm running it right now.
That's what I'm doing.
Because like I said, otherwise, if we're able
Because if we had to
to,
wait until next week, we'd have to come back and vote, right?
if we're able to put in some stuff into this deal from what you were describing, is we can kind of make this our own to a degree. Like I said, I mean, if that's the case, then there would just be things I need to be absent from voting. That or I just don't need to be included on the emails that go to Andrew and Trey.
Let's do it. We're good.
Sweet. Okay, so who's voting for me?
Say again, you don't need to be, wait.
I was
Yeah.
trying to I was throwing out ideas. You can ignore those.
I wasn't listening
Yeah,
to anything
we're
that you
good.
said. I
Okay,
was
great.
just-
I was trying to say if it's a conflict of interest,
Then you wouldn't vote.
yes, I wouldn't vote, or if I don't need to be on the emails that go to Andrew and Trey. Like if they're asking about where stuff goes in a park or something like that.
We can work all that out.
Well, but I would usually
Motion
copy
to
the vice
approve
chair.
him as vice president, vice chair. Vice chair is the term.
I
Motion to
second the
approve.
motion. Yeah.
Sounds great.
Ooh, that was I thought I lost for a second.
No.
It's a tight
I'm
race.
very happy to have you.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so that leaves the much in demand secretary position. Amy,
Oh.
Look at him.
I'm sorry. She wants it.
How long,
do
how
like
long would
attention
said
to
secretary?
detail.
Her and Amy
She
said,
said she would do it.
saying yes.
And so-
Anyone who does the secretary.
She has
I
the
would-
floor.
I would do one of
Shani
two
has the
things.
floor.
Please answer my question.
Anyone who's gonna be the secretary, I would do one of two things. Either A, just keep a copy of this and make your notes as you go, or B, bring a laptop and just fill it out as you go. There have been some times, and I do not care to admit this, where I have watched these meetings
Gone
back
back
on
and
2
watched
times
them.
speed
Mhm.
to make sure I get
God,
those.
we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's.
If I could watch it
I'm
any
so glad that
faster,
we
I
can.
would. But yeah, so I mean, there are some times there, but a lot of times when I have to go back and watch those, it's usually because I'm more focused on what's being talked about and not writing notes. So that's why you'll see me as I go through. I have my attendance here already, and I'm just jotting scribble on these things, so that way I can figure that out.
And then typically he'll like post them and let me know, and then I go back in and make
She'll
sure that
add
we've caught it,
anything
because I
that
too
needs.
will watch the meetings if needed, especially for voting, and then we send them out to everyone, so there's checks and balances, and we work
Yes.
together. And
Just, I
you
would
could
just-
even send me yours without watching it.
But your notes and stuff are gonna look almost identical to how this sheet of paper looks.
Yeah.
Like you're just gonna go in here and under like city updates, you would just literally delete where it says 2024 business and bylaws, and then everything that Ryan just kind of briefly went over, you would just kind of paraphrase that and be like, cool, Article 1 passed for bylaws, 3-year terms for members. That's what I have written down. If I feel like something's not really described well, it's usually when I go back and I'm like, let me watch the video one more time and see if there's any other keynotes I need to add in there.
That's dedication.
But really, this is as long as you want to make it. If you're really good at just jotting down some quick things, then just less is more sometimes.
I have written minutes before. I would accept secretary if anyone wants to vote for me.
Motion to approve.
Oh, motion to nominate.
I was saying, we need to nominate.
Seconded. Sam, Shani, did I hear you?
Yeah, nominate Amy.
Beautiful. Thanks. All right, and I think that's it for voting. Yeah, fantastic. Welcome. Wow. Nice little shift there. And so last year I was very directive, and did a lot of the things. So this year, understanding that I'll roll up and there will be succession with that. I will be copying more and not necessarily delegating where appropriate, but sharing, so we're all learning a little bit more in our roles this year for sure. And I want y'all to step up where you're comfortable. So, okay. All right, lovely. Okay, so the next thing that we need to consider would be our meeting schedule for the year. And I do have several dates listed for us for consideration. It's the first Monday. I'm assuming nothing has changed with that. We're just going to say the same time, location, and date. So it's the first Monday. So I think there's no conflict in February, March, April, May, and June. Then we get to July, which is 7/01, which is probably a holiday date. Then we go into August 5th, September 2nd, 10/7, 11/4, and 12/2. So
I thought we had talked about reducing the
Consider-
number of official meetings.
So I was going to
We can
suggest
check some of that.
July
Also
and
the-
December. We could even, if we wanted to, for consideration, I don't know how to say this, but if we wanted to change the schedule for the year, my suggestion, consideration would be July and December would be.
Would also make the February on a Monday. The 5th is a Sunday.
Oh, so sorry. Thank you.
Nice catch.
Always.
And our like smaller committee meetings, we're still having to do that, like come in, set time to come in and do those here.
Yeah, and I think that's something we could.
I thought at one time we even talked about just having like
April Day is a
4
Saturday.
official like board meetings, but kind of holding the date for committee meetings.
Yeah.
Is that a possibility?
I mean, we can have as many as you want. I would like to have
I may
one
be wrong.
next month,
They're on
because we're not
2024.
gonna get through what we need to get through today, I don't think.
No.
It's like
Um,
September 2nd is Labor Day.
Hey, you were right. February 5th is. For some reason, I went to the 3rd. So this is wrong.
Am I saying that right?
This is supposed to be the 4th.
So one more time,
Yes.
Logan.
You're
Yes.
correct, yes.
September 2nd is Labor Day.
September 2nd. So yeah, thank you for that refresher, because we did, so to allow for more work time and with the considerations of attendance and things like that, we're talking about maybe quarterly meetings, with the other meetings being committee work and or project work, however we want to structure that. So discussion.
We definitely need another meeting next month, though,
Yeah.
Yeah.
for city updates. Then after that, like, I don't know.
Well, I guess we could discuss, we could even discuss what projects we want to do and frame our meetings and committees. So maybe we don't have to land on a meeting, I'm just
I think
going
that
back
that's
to what
better
we've
to
always
see
done.
what we want our year to hold, and then we will make sure that we have the meetings that will be able to address those and support those projects.
And so would that be okay if we got that to Jared, like our meeting calendar dates? Is that required
Yeah, we'll have to
to
vote on
have?
it, but I think if we get our projects together, then we can. Maybe we'll just have to vote on it next month or whenever you guys want to have another meeting.
It's also possible to cancel meetings when either we don't have business or we know we're not going to have a quorum.
Yes.
So having them on the schedule is not. I mean, can you, if you know you're not gonna have quorum and you cancel a meeting, can you have a committee meeting during that time? Like a work.
You can have a committee meeting whenever you want.
But I also don't want it to look like, I would rather.
It'll have to
Yeah,
be,
we have to
it'll have
schedule
to
it,
be,
yeah.
yeah, it'll have to be live like we've been doing
Right.
last year.
But I also don't want it to look negative. So if we plan a calendar year to have official board meetings and then we
Like, yeah, we
don't, I don't want it to look like we're not
10
meeting our
meetings and we only have
obligation.
4.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be
So that-
like, we do a lot in the summer.
Do less than this.
In the
See, I was thinking
summer.
like if we took 2 or 3 months off in the summer, because I know Arbor Day is gonna take. some
Yeah, Arbor-
meetings.
yeah, Arbor
We need to,
And
yes.
the
The really big things are the tree giveaway in the
Tree
spring and then Arbor Day in the
giveaway.
fall. So in between that, we could take a lot of.
Yeah, your June and July dates look like they're the easiest based off the projection or the project discussions. There wouldn't be really
June,
anything.
July, and December.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, because, yeah, December, I don't think we needed to have.
Knowing that September 2nd is Labor Day, we should probably go ahead and move that to the,
Excuse me.
just the following Monday.
Yeah, that would be the.
I make a motion.
That one is needed though.
Mhm,
because
it is
Arbor
definite.
Day.
Yeah.
August, from August and September and October are all very crucial. And then November is our final follow-up. It's like our hindsighting and wrap up for the year. So I would say all of these kind of need to stay. And then, sorry.
No, you're right.
And then we know we need February. March, we'll have our tree giveaway. So yeah, June,
July, and December.
that's not giving us really good gaps for committee. They may just have to be
We can, we'll just figure
additional
them out.
instead of.
Which I feel like in the
That'll have to be-
summertime, if we have any committee, it'll probably just, like, we're just doing the yoga under the trees, so.
That's more like just community event. And I thought maybe a disc golf tournament.
I know my husband would support this one.
I'm like, they would put money out for trees or to do disc golf. You know, that's kind of cool. Anyway, that's for future discussion. Yeah. Okay.
They like shade too.
Okay. So do we want to land on these dates? Do we want to make a motion to vote on these dates, or do we want to wait and we're waiting on something from the city?
So at this,
Well, did we want to go over our calendar events?
Okay, sorry, that's what we're doing. Thank you. Yep. Okay. All right. So project discussions, the things that, you know, we already talked about the red oaks needing to be done, the brick installation. Those are pending projects that we have.
Are we waiting on the Red Oaks planning just for not awful conditions?
Right. It's because it's like I mean, it was we dug, and then it's a lot of rock and not gravel, but whatever you would call it. It not too far down. It's not soil. It gets pretty tricky. Yeah. And we went right after the rain, thinking, "Oh, this will be perfect," and then it was not. And then yeah.
so is there, Krista, is there any kind of temperature requirement that we need to not plant them?
Nope. Winter's a great time to plant.
We're planting right
Yeah.
It's
Before
and it's
March,
safer to
yeah.
have them in the ground than to have them in a container at this point.
Okay.
They're in containers under leaves, under pine,
Yeah.
with a tarp.
Which I mean, yeah, you
For
can
the cold,
insulate
cold
the
weather.
containers, but when,
But we
especially
do
with
need to
this
get 'em in the
super
ground.
freeze expected for next week.
Yeah, that could be trouble.
9 degrees on Monday.
It's
so
only like
excited.
2 nights or something. I just put them in the garage or
Yeah,
shed
just
or
on
something.
they're on the north side of my house. I've got them tucked in.
Do we want them planted before or after Snowmageddon?
When is snow
When is
beginning?
Snowmageddon?
Monday.
Next.
No, there's no
No.
snow. Just.
It's just
Just super freeze.
This,
Yeah.
but within the next 10 days, closest to the 10-day mark, we are expected to get snow and ice according to the long-range forecast. So, but I do recommend that we get this in the ground as soon as we can.
Snow won't be an issue. That insulates. The bitter cold is what's gonna kill the
At
roots.
this
So
point,
I
it
thought-
might be better to just
My radar is saying that we're getting 3 inches between like Sunday night into Monday.
See if that stays.
That's not gonna work.
Yeah, but that's, I hate to say it, but 10-day forecasts are not super
just-
reliable.
The 8 degrees is what we gotta worry about.
Yeah.
That's where you're gonna have root damage.
So
You
do
could try
we
to plant
wanna
tomorrow.
knee-jerk try to get them in the ground quickly, or wait till after this cold snap? And
Yeah,
then,
either one
It's up to the
works.
people that know.
Either one. works.
Yeah, it's not gonna matter. I mean, honestly, it'd probably be better to be planted, but I mean, I wouldn't.
As long as they're well watered.
Yeah.
It's the great
if
thing
it
about planting.
snows.
Well, and
they'll be well watered.
I love planting near a water source like the creek because you can just dip water out of the creek.
Mhm.
So, there you go.
All right. Is there any preference? We can look at timeframes and see when folks are available.
If we agree to, can we agree to do this in the earliest available date that we have individuals, and then we can email each other to coordinate a time? Would that work?
That's fine.
Is that
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
allowable?
Yep.
Well, email dates, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Do like a little Google
Right,
Doodle.
so we've got the red oaks taken care of.
The state that you get warm.
Thinking about it a little bit longer, I'd probably wait until after the deep freeze. to get those things
It is,
permanently
it
planted.
is
Shocked.
easy when they're in a container to protect them in some way.
Yeah,
When I even have a greenhouse, I can put them in.
Yeah.
If we're too afraid.
Because it's only a
like I
couple
do.
of
I-
nights.
I just didn't want them confused seasons. I did not
Right.
put them in there.
They'd be finding a greenhouse. for
they,
nights.
it'll take several days for them to break out of dormancy.
Okay. So we'll wait till after cold snap. Okay. All right then. Okay, so the next portion of business or project to discuss for January is we have been, we had a research project done by the environmental science capstone project students. I totally mucked that up at UCA. They did 2 projects for us last year. This year we were chosen to do another research project. That was when we threw out ideas of what to do with the students, and they accepted the riparian trees and stream bank erosion in Conway project. Right?
Excellent.
So we're very excited about that. Now, with that being said, Sam and Krista, I haven't told you that, Sam has volunteered to be available if you're not available, if y'all want to tag team, however we want to do it. She looked at your PowerPoint. So in terms of like the PowerPoint presentation and data and information, if I could really lean on y'all, that would be really helpful. But what will be required, and I don't know, Ryan, if you need to be there this year to present to and or discuss, it'd be great. I would love to have access to any of y'all and us. So, but it's January 12th, and there's the class starts at 1:00. Presentations will be at 1:30, and it's about a 10-minute presentation where we pitch our project. And I'm giving y'all, there's 2 pieces of paper in your packet. One is specific to our project, but there's kind of a breakdown of what's required, how to present, and who all will be there. And
I
so,
won't be here on the 12th.
you're not gonna be on the 12th? Okay. So he's out.
One day.
If you can tell me what to do, I'll be there.
I
Sorry,
took
I can
your
come.
PowerPoint
Oh,
and I
that'd be great.
did,
Okay.
I didn't.
And I can send you all the
first
information,
3,
location,
was
and
probably
everything.
the- Didn't change those 3 whatsoever.
And so, and you know, is there anything
Final one,
specific
and then
from city perspective, Conway Court perspective, or anyone else in the group that we would like to ask them to be mindful of when they're out doing their project, right? So
What are they gonna be doing? Are they gonna be planting?
they're not planting, they're gonna be out just assessing probably the banks, erosion,
There's enough.
biodiversity. Yeah, so my initial thought was, so, and Anna, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but a couple of years ago, we went to McGee Center out where the community garden is. It's a very wet area. I don't know if you want to talk about it. We did plant 200 small trees. We have not, I'd like to put that on as a work day to go out, prune and assess, but quite a bit of them have survived. And so we thought over time, we could continue to build like a mini forest because that land is not really accessible because of the flooding. But it also goes right into one of those stream banks. I didn't know if it'd be nice to get some initial data right off of that bank. So as things grow over time, then they could go back and do ongoing projects. Does it make a difference? That may not be important enough waterway, you know, in terms of the stream bank. There may be somewhere else. I'm thinking about over on College by Tucker Creek Vet, where the trees falling over and the banks coming in, and there's Stone Down Creek, and there's other places on Tucker Creek. So there may be other areas or a range of areas, and
So I'm,
Sam is a newly graduated
yeah, yeah.
student from UCA out of that program.
This past summer finished my master's looking at tree response. So I took Krista's PowerPoint from doing this same thing but different projects last year. And as it currently stands, the project is riparian trees and stream bank assessment. With questions being, where should the city be planting trees to try to offset erosion and reduce runoff? But I have it for citywide, not just kind of zeroed into a singular location, kind of whole city. Another potential question, what should we plant? Would that benefit us for them to do that kind of work and literature review, or do y'all have that information, it's redundant, we don't need them doing that.
I don't think it's gonna be anything specialized. I mean, the species, basically, most of Conway is a bottomland anyway. So most of the species that work around town are gonna work along all the streams.
And I thought, well, and I'm like, what's valuable to the city in terms of information? Because I know like flood mitigation, the goal is to get the water out of the city as fast as possible, right? So bless you, when we think about sediment, runoff, buildup, maintenance, like what would be a good riparian, or what's the value to the city in investing in more riparian buffers? Because I know you get resident pushback, there's snakes, and and then it's challenging for the departments who manage that to get down and actually manage inside the creeks. I think those are some of the objections.
So, I mean, I'm not an engineer, but if you can slow the flow of water going into the creeks, you're gonna get more ground absorption, which is going to decrease the amount that the creeks have to take on. So
And flash.
I think there's
filters.
value in it.
And filters, I mean, that
Absolutely.
filters the water too,
Right.
it's going, so.
And so the final question I've got is why should we plant financial and biological benefits of having trees along streams versus removing them and having to mitigate bank erosion? So it sounds like we're primarily going to want them to focus on where in the city of Conway should tree board and city of Conway be focusing to plant trees to kind of mitigate erosion, and then why. So give us kind of that concrete biological benefit as well as financial incentive.
You can have them contact Nature Conservancy and the city of Fayetteville and the Illinois River. They can tell you exactly what the differences are.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of what we want the students out doing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. They can
Oh, they'll
contact
utilize
them
those
and
resources.
save a lot of time.
Yeah.
Doing that.
The gift of technology and information, right?
Yeah.
Because I figured with where they can do GIS analysis, elementary GIS analysis, kind of look at our stream banks, just kind of, there's trees on that one, there's not trees on that one. They could go 2 different stream banks in the city of Conway and kind of ground truth it and see size of sedimentation, risk of erosion, that sort of thing. And they can dig into the literature to figure out biological benefit as well as financial incentive in regards to like economic benefit. I think that's an appropriate size project for undergrad
absolutely.
It's about
students.
14 weeks. Yeah.
1 semester, kind of get their feet wet for environmental planning and et cetera.
Look at the major streams in town here that are causing real issues. Prioritize, highest, mid, and low, and then
Well, that's a good, yeah.
I would look forward to them looking at Stone Dam Creek, simply because at West German, when it crosses under, they have done a whole lot recently to try to make that a better area, and it still doesn't have any trees on it. I don't know what the property value goes with, but I know the city has just invested a lot of money, well, Conway Corps has invested a lot of money in putting a new building in place there, and we had a flood scenario where they had to close the streets since they did that fix. So that affects all of those subdivisions in that area, and they continue to build, so.
What are your thoughts, Chris?
I think there's a lot of, but I think it's too much for this class. There's a lot of information out there about stream morphology and how erosion happens and how streams move over time naturally. But I think that they could, like, a lot of math that they get into where they're like measuring the angles of the stream banks and stuff like that.
I don't think that's
Well, that's Matt Conway's, that's his special.
over the head of this group. So the students that we're going to be considering are in typically their last year of undergrad, And ECA in particular has a really strong aquatic base with so many of our instructors either very directly studying stream morphology and stream content or fishes in those streams. One of the advisors for this is GIS specialist with streams and hydrology, and then the other one is focused on the contents of the stream. And so that is right up their alley and very pertinent to what these students have been exposed to in previous classes.
Well, and I liked the idea of like, high, medium, low priority areas. So even if they were just looking at, one stream or one section and they,
The other current, and I mean, I know these are just additional research, but that would be something that would be helpful in terms of like planning, like and I'm sure y'all are already looking at those things, but what are the priority areas for consideration that we then could go in and support and do some work alongside the other departments, so.
And you could look at it either way, like
prioritizing
plant, so high priority for planting or, high, need, I guess, or high risk areas.
I think they kind of go hand in hand. Areas that, we really need trees are because we don't have trees. And so biologically it's, crucial, but then also economically and societally for flood mitigation and everything.
You may get them in contact with Kurt Jones in transportation. He was the city engineer, and he would know. He does a lot of the stormwater runoff and all of that, so he would know.
They've got some maps.
Is Hal Henderson involved in that too?
Yes.
That's the other primary person. It's Matt Connolly and Hal Haverson are the two co-advisors.
Well, and actually
I'm on watershed.
We talked the
we
other
say,
day.
and I hope this is still true, this was true last year, that the Conway Tree Board and City of Conway GIS Manager are available resources for support as needed. So maybe
Matt would love to help.
We're going to volunteer Matt for you.
Wonderful. Thank you,
but
Matt.
maybe we should include
And then
city
also
staff.
City staff, well, because you mentioned Kurt Jones, right? And then I don't know if there would, Conway Corporate want to have,
They would probably know.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What
So
is
who's
Kurt Jones's position again?
He's the transportation.
Thank
He's
you.
the city engineer.
And GIS contact?
Matt Anderson. He works in planning.
And who's their contact at Conway Corp? Is it Mark Ferguson?
Not for this.
Logan.
Logan, are you on contact?
we had one sitting in the room.
People I go to are usually between Mark or Chris with
Okay.
GIS.
Is Marty your GIS?
No, he's over the water section.
Sounds good.
Him.
Yeah.
Single point of contact, make it easy.
Anybody who wants to join me, give that presentation Friday at 1:30.
Well, I mean, I can come for moral support. Don't ask me a question.
And they make, so the students, I think there's time for presentation and then questions. And so, I mean, even, I know they light up with the opportunity to interact. So even if it
They like
was
seeing
moral support to be there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Y'all know I'm new at this job, right?
Well, and Sam is gonna do, or Krista, are you available on that?
I'm not available on that day.
I wasn't sure, it was
can't
such a
either.
fast turnaround, that's why I was able to
I
grab
would
her.
love to, but I can't.
Yeah.
I've got another meeting.
I weirdly enough can, so I'll be there.
So it'll be,
Thank
Sam
you.
will be present, I will be present, and so what we'll do is I'll have Sam commit to finalize that PowerPoint, forward it to us if there's any speaking points or discussions or whatever, but we'll let you kind of handle and lead it.
Thank you to making the PowerPoint that I shamelessly copied and then just changed the last
I'm a big
slide.
believer in that.
I was like, oh, look, it's done. Sounds great.
And I think it's not, so representation matters. So having the planning director there and having a former student now kind of leading a presentation for that is also.
And to be clear,
great.
the student, like several different groups are giving like project proposals and the
Yes.
students get to choose what project.
Yeah.
And so they do sometimes have questions like, so if we chose this, you know, how would this work? And so those are some of the questions that like you might be able to help with, you know, like if we chose this, you know, could we talk with the transportation director and, you know, that kind of thing is what.
We'll get you to the right people.
Perfect. And that's how you answer it, absolutely.
All right, so we three will be there.
And where's it at? Somewhere at UCA?
It's usually at Conway Corp.
Center for Sciences, one of the new science buildings on campus.
I'll send you a pen.
Yeah.
We'll
Yes.
reserve your parking. It's super easy. That's our building.
I really,
Right there.
I really hope they choose to do the project. I think it'd be beneficial to the community for the long term. I mean, there's some real issues.
Well, and so last year we pitched thinking they would do one project and we wound up getting two.
So
And
actually, they kind of like our projects
They like our
because
projects.
Because they are local and they don't have to travel. Whereas a lot of the other projects, they have to travel long distances and they're in other parts of the state.
And they're outside a lot, you know, there's a lot of, so there's some keys. And for folks who are more interested, because there is a planning and administration track to this program, so there are folks who are directly interested in city planning, government policy, things like that. So,
I mean, I can see that being a demonstration area for environmental students at UCA or whomever about this is where we were, this is where we are now.
Yeah.
And these are the positives of having.
and there's already research going on in these streams and
Right.
Conway Court Lake Brewer,
Absolutely.
like these students are not unfamiliar. with a lot of these.
A lot of turbidity in the water headed downstream, so yeah. Very good.
Okay, awesome. Anything else on UCA Capstone?
We do have, same course a year ago. They selected 2 of the 3 options and they produced their analysis for tree canopy change and its relationship with demographics for Conway and suitability modeling for red oak and white oaks in Conway, Arkansas. And so I can get with Connolly, Dr. Connolly, one of the faculty members in charge of this, to get some of those GIS shape files from them. But we do have their write-up for that as well.
Yeah, and I stuck that in the drive, so you'll all have access to those. Okay, awesome. Thank you for doing that. We did get another opportunity. JD Gingrich reached out to us, the Conway. I jumped right over, excuse me, let me back up, because that's May. So, because the January discussions are the most important, and this is probably, I don't know turnaround time if this is possible, and Skylar, if you were able to get some information, but Interfaith Power and Light is someone who does small grants, and we have the opportunity to apply for a grant for up to $2,000 for fruit trees. And they do already have other areas in Conway, like Faulkner County Library is going to take advantage of that for their community garden. But again, my thought, I went back to the McGee Center near that community garden to get pollinators and to continue, we want to grow that pollination and have food access. So I guess I want to make a motion to consider, I don't know if it's too late, this grant opportunity. Because the deadline is January 31st. I know we do also have to fill out the grant form for the city. We have to quickly get budgets and information together on this, but it's a small grant, and we have to show the need in that part of town and how that might be used. So when we think about food security, there's a little bit of a food desert. I don't know if we consider Dollar General now food. I would not, but in terms of how they're rating fresh food, I know that produce place is there now.
If you think of like a
too.
food desert, though, the definition of that is, the type of food, the accessible food. So I would say that's a food desert.
So this does need to support, if there's food insecurity, can we, does it support regenerative agriculture, divert organic waste from landfills? How will it help increase crop yield? So when I look at potential places for that, we kind of, as long as Andrew and the folks at Parks and Rec are okay for us adding some other, these could be larger, more substantial trees too, right? that we kind of place amongst those small ones, but I think that location could fit the bill for a lot of the requirements on this grant. So,
I love it. I think it's a great idea if we can get turnaround to, get it knocked out pretty quick. By means of like what we would actually be using the funds for, would we simply be wanting to plant native fruit-bearing trees that would need minimal maintenance? So maybe persimmons, mulberries.
when we would think about things that don't
That's
require a ton of
all I'm coming up
pesticides, because we can't, I don't think we would want that. You chime in here.
Yeah, no, it needs to be easy care. The one, and it's a non-native, but figs are low maintenance.
Figs, I think they're delicious.
Yeah, but they don't like wet
produce-
soil, so
Yeah.
that location isn't that great for that. There might be some higher places around there.
Could we plant any like figs or anything like that in say MLK Park or any of our parks in the city?
You can't plant figs in MLK Park.
I was gonna
Got
say,
it. Yep. This is
I
why
can
I'm
answer that
asking.
one.
Thank you. Yes. Okay.
Depending on what area, we'd have to, I'm still waiting to hear back from Andrew on this, but I mean, some of the McGee Center is kind of, it still gets really wet. If you're over there more towards like the parking lot, community garden area, you may not have as just drenched soil as you would where the other 200 trees were planted.
Yeah, closer to the garden area, I think would make sense for, and I mean, persimmon and mulberry, they're both riparian.
Is this a grant?
so this is a
Yeah.
grant, and it is,
Do you have to have a specific area right now?
yeah, it says, well, we have to be able to show,
Maybe around Faulkner County Library because they've got that community.
but they're already doing it. They're doing it.
That's for sure happening. for
There's
the-
multiple grants, they are already doing it.
But there,
We
I
have
mean,
the opportunity
McGee Center,
to-
it is a low income.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about right
there.
across that stream bank.
Yes,
And then,
and then even the other, like what backs up to
well,
it is
there's lots
fairly
of
low
rental,
end.
and when we look at food security and children that are on free and reduced lunches, we're 50 to 70%, right? So I think we could justify that probably anywhere throughout the city.
Mhm.
And then the only produce location is that one, is it Green Thumb? I can't remember what it's
Oh,
called,
yeah.
but other than that, there's really not a grocery store or food in that area, but I could see, plus it's a community center, that's a great built-in, we've had some volunteer efforts out there. Probably the folks who are gardening in the garden would appreciate some extra pollinate, because it's, they're wanting to do great things, we can just continue to help build and grow that. Just a thought.
I like it.
Question, how do we qualify for this as a nonprofit 501c3 or a farm?
They reached out to us specifically, so I will
Okay.
get with that. I'm sure if we're a government entity, well, we're not a
You said it was
nonprofit.
the
Interfaith Power and Light.
like they may be.
They do really cool stuff. I've met with them
Those
at
significant, you know?
They are,
summit
yeah.
last year.
Give
I
it
don't think
Robbie.
we have to be.
So that's what, like, we have to fill out.
I was about to say that. I'm like trying to
It's
read
just
this as fast as I can. It's just
asking, yeah,
asking in
just
general.
asking.
I don't see
Fill that
anything.
out.
I've never known that we're-
Fill that out, he helps you
Fill
figure
this
that
out, he helps me figure this
Yes.
out. So we just need to decide on location and parameters, and I can give all of that, and we'll let
Yeah, give it to
Robbie.
Robbie and he can help you fill out.
And
the
Robbie's our
grant
city
application.
grant administrator, manager. So we
fantastic.
have resources, and that's the one thing too, and I'm sorry, I'm in like year 3 going, oh, we have such great resources to leverage. Let's use them. So we've talked about it, but not actually done it. So I'd like to ask for some funds this year for some support to do. So I'll make a motion to pursue the Interfaith Power and Light small grant for fruit trees to, upon approval from Andrew, the supervisor of Parks and Rec. So we get that quick,
motion.
go ahead and, yes.
Seconded.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
First or second, for like, however it goes.
I can first and second, and still be the documenter
Still be the
of the minutes?
documentary?
Yes, you are a voting member, so you can
Wonderful,
go.
wonderful.
Excellent question, though, yes. Okay, yay, I'm excited. So I can get this started, and may I forward it to you, Krista, to take a quick look at? We'll send to, kind of partner on that, and, sorry, and you. Do you want to look at those?
We'll just CC you on everything.
You're always on everything. Okay. All right. Okay, good deal. How we doing on time? 5:30. Okay. So, all right, so those were the most time sensitive because these are kind of January projects. The next thing, they are looking for a speaker to come and speak with the Conway Rotary Group. They also have their meetings at UCA Tuesday morning, 7 a.m. And that would be May 7th or May 28th.
Is that 8?
A.m., 7 a.m.
Yes.
Well, there's also an April date.
I'm sorry, I marked them out on mine. So all of the dates that were available are no longer. We're now May 7th and May 28th. You said they're moving target. They're filling them really quickly. So,
Good for them.
yeah, awesome. Don't know if there's any interest, if you would like to, if you have any dates in April, I mean, May.
What
If you have any dates in
specifically
May.
are we gonna just talk to them about the mission of the
We're
tree
gonna talk
board?
about the mission of the boards and our scope of work, yeah.
And when was that? The 7th?
We can pick one of those two dates, the 7th or the 28th, if someone's available and would like to support.
I might be willing. I'm a Rotarian,
Ally?
but I might be able to.
Because I can go speak.
Yeah.
But I'll be candid, I get intimidated when people start asking very technical questions. And I'm passionate,
I'll be
but I'm
glad to
not the
help you.
professional.
Yeah,
That'd be
or
great.
either way.
Do you have the 7th or 28th? Are you available either?
Probably.
Okay, I'll go ahead and I'll send it to him, because he's sending me like,
Okay.
so I'll do that. So Scott, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. And I'll be there too. Okay. All right. The other projects that we know we wanted to keep ongoing, of course, would be yoga under the trees, our free tree giveaways, and Arbor Day. So those are the,
I have some news on the free tree stuff.
Right.
So yeah.
so I don't know if we need to, do you want to talk about free tree giveaway? So typically that's done on Arkansas's Arbor Day, which is the third Friday in March, which is March 18th.
It's the third Monday.
Third Monday, kidding. March 18th.
Which is also the Monday of spring break, which is really problematic. For,
Yeah.
Like, it's a terrible time to have Arbor Day.
And then, well, we did have, so where it's typically what? We typically did it,
We did it
On
on
a
a Friday
Friday.
last year.
and it's daytime, morning hours for a couple of hours. We have a great turnout, but we did hear feedback on
People wanted a
for
weekend.
working folks. What do we, yeah, fair. It's fair.
With it being on a Monday, would it not be better to do it on a Saturday? I think that might be a little more available for like more of us to be there.
Well,
as
that's what I was
well.
wondering, is if more of us could come on a Saturday even.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, would there be more availability? Because last year, I think only like 3 or 4 of us were there. And I feel like on a Saturday, it'd be a little bit easier for people to come help as well. Because it looks like there's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It really is a ton of fun
I would be available March 16th.
Set the date, the 16th.
on that
That would
Saturday.
be the
It's a
Saturday.
Saturday.
Do we want to try Saturday? Are you good on this? I try to be mindful, like, because I know our city, like, I've tried to be mindful of like our city folks and extension office, and there's a lot, especially in spring, in arborists. There's a lot going on.
Would you want to do it at the same place?
Oh, I
Where
think it's
was
a
it?
great setup. It's at
County Museum.
the Faulkner County Museums. We have like that dog trot, that run through to set up and
It's a nice
people
like
came.
pavilion area. Although, I mean, there are pavilions at parks and things like that. But
You got your office,
bathrooms
bathroom.
and-
It's kind of a nice, and people are conditioned
chairs
to come.
and tables and.
Yeah. Ease, and then that one, we're not hauling trees back and forth, and then inevitably, some people couldn't show up, so then we just left some there, and they could just come
Yeah.
and retrieve them,
That's
because we
good.
had the gift of many, many additional trees last year, so, yeah.
I remember there's a bunch of people on Facebook that are wanting that Saturday deal.
Saturday.
So I think you'll get a lot more people that are coming in.
Okay,
I'm okay with
So if
this.
you have an abundance of trees that you can give away, I would give out every time someone comes up an
Yeah.
abundance.
so we purchased, what did we purchase, 400, 500?
So
7,
6 or
6,
7.
7?
so how big were the ones that you guys purchased? I
Sapling.
Yeah,
They're the same as what you.
No, for spring, so for fall, we did the potted tree giveaways, but for spring, we'll go back to the bare root saplings. We got
Yeah.
700,
So
and then you're
So-
about to make
yeah,
us
so I've
smile.
got we'll have some that we can donate. I don't know what species yet, but we'll have several.
We will take them.
But I also have access to white oak, water oak, willow oak, cherry bark, and southern red.
Live along.
Yeah.
So, but those are
Saplings?
those are from a source that I would have to buy from, but they're only 32 cents a piece. So I mean,
We had
you know,
extra fun.
yeah, it's really not bad. But we can talk about that as time gets closer or whatever. But
How soon
We'll-
will we
we'll
need
donate
to
some.
order those, not to cut you off?
I'll find out. I'll
Okay.
find out from our landowner resource forester tomorrow.
Because it sounds like it'll have to be decided next month, at next
mean,
month's meeting.
Unless we
Well,
hold
I
an
mean, they
emergency
have-
meeting.
They have over 300,000 seedlings
Oh,
available.
so
So I mean,
okay.
you know,
So it's not
but-
like chump change.
but he's looking for a home for them. So
Yeah. Oh, that's
I mean,
great, okay.
that's enough to plant almost like
Oh,
650 acres.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's almost a full section.
If our trees come in early, do you think you might be able to store them in?
Oh,
the
sure. I've got-
cooler again?
Yeah, we've got a tree cooler. We can store.
That's neat. That's just
I
a
would say
cool
this.
thing.
If we're wanting
Never
to
even
spend
heard of a
the
tree
extra
cooler.
money,
Just a big
Didn't know that
refrigeration.
existed.
Yeah.
if we are wanting to spend the extra money, I would go tree giveaway.
It's popular.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
you
gonna
could
be on
buy-
Saturday.
You could buy 5 bags for
Say, the Saturday, we could be there
Yeah.
longer than.
I will say, you know, we
2
didn't give
hours
away
last
all we
year.
had last year because we had so many, especially those pines.
I'll have some of those too.
We were a little stingy though with some of those.
I was about to say, I
mean, like
think-
the
I
red
think last
peppers and stuff,
year-
we only gave you like one, maybe 2 of them.
Yeah, I
for
think
a lot.
last year we had decided to limit, because people
Yeah.
could come up the year before and get as many as they wanted.
I think with like the ones that are more limited, we could limit those, but like if we have 1,000 pine trees
Pine
or whatever.
trees, yeah.
People can just
Like
grab
one.
handfuls of those
Yeah.
and enjoy them.
I mean, they're still just steadily building new houses. And there ain't no trees in any of these houses.
The
so-
highly desirable species are harder to get this late in the season. Like they're probably already sold out.
What did we
Um,
buy? What species did we, right, because y'all were saying
yeah, I
we
can't
bought like
remember.
700 bare root.
Did that
Yeah,
in
we
July
bought like
or
some red buds
Yeah, I
and
can't
some
remember.
nice, like more ornamental.
Motion to allocate our surplus funds towards
The free tree giveaway.
We can't do that yet, can we? It's not been appropriated.
What?
A motion to take our
Can-
extra dollars that have not been appropriated. We have
We do
to
that in
pause.
February.
Let's suspend that till February.
Heard.
Till it's,
okay.
hold that thought.
Yeah.
But we took the feedback from last year because Krista had a really nice assortment. They were excited about that last year, but then we heard some folks saying, oh, well, my property's smaller. So when we think about right tree, right place, the assortment, I think this year will fit the bill for some of that was lacking. So size and ornamentation. things like that.
Especially if we can get some of the 32-cent trees that aren't the species that we've already purchased, and so we can have.
They're not,
continue
because
to have
you were talking,
more-
they were like oaks.
Yeah, they're different.
Yeah,
Mostly oaks.
which
Those are some
works well in
neat
this area.
species.
Absolutely, yeah.
But-
And they did their research on white oaks, red oaks, right? So,
Right.
Those are some neat species that aren't necessarily as common though.
Yeah, it's great to have diversity.
I would like to have a meeting on that when committees get formed on making that as effective as possible, that one day, so that we can have like a barcode to access the information as well as just an informational sheet that stays put. And people can take a picture of it.
Reducing some
I've got
waste and
access
some
to a
paper.
laminator, and so I can,
I do too.
whatever y'all create, I can get it laminated, and so discourage people from trying to take it with them.
Now, the only problem we'll have is if it pours rain, people will not show up.
It was quite cold and windy.
They will show up in
Yes.
cold and wind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But they showed up with the cold and wind.
Yeah.
They did.
I could be surprised. Maybe look on the rain.
So would we want to discuss a rain date of being the following Saturday? Or then it defaults to, I mean, that's both ends of spring break. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to do that. I don't want to close us into that.
I'm also available the 23rd if we wanted that one.
I'm hopeful
Let's
we'll be
just-
gone one of the weekends in spring break. That's one of our 2
Plan
vacations
for
this
good
year.
weather.
We're gonna plan for good weather.
We can bring that bridge when we get there.
Okay.
Well, and I mean, we did have people who come to the extension office the next week and pick them up, so that works too.
Is that where we're wanting to do it?
At the Partner County, the
Same,
Historical
okay.
Museum.
Yeah, the
and
museum,
Extension.
same place, yeah.
Is the extension office still in the old church?
Mhm. So the right, works out really well. And people are accustomed to it too, so I think that flow will be.
If it does rain, I can ask. I have no idea what the answer will be. We could potentially see if the McGee Center, the large room is open, and that would just be an easy way for people to funnel in, funnel out, to be able to grab those. With it being on a Saturday, we're not really gonna be dealing with, because they run the driving test through there during the week, so it's kind of hard to get in there during the week. But on a Saturday, you'd probably be okay.
My goodness, what if we had a drive-through?
That'd be hilarious. I
I
love
mean,
it.
we have one person with a walkie-talkie going, the yellow car will take.
Yeah.
The
Well, they
McGee
were
Center-
super efficient.
I would do that
balls,
at
I
like
think.
an abandoned parking lot. The
Yeah.
McGee Center already has trouble with.
I think for
parking.
sake
I
of
wouldn't like it there.
for sake of time, if we can table, hold all your thoughts on those. Those are great. But we'll get down in the weeds a little bit if we start
Yes.
that. So I'm gonna bring
But we'll
us
plan
back
for
out.
March 16th.
Yeah, so for sure. So
10 to noon? What are we thinking?
is that what we did last time?
I was gonna say, I think last year it was only 2 hours, but with it being a Saturday, we might be able to, if everyone is willing, we might be able to extend that if we're gonna have even more trees.
What do you think?
Also
Maybe
depending on
3 hours?
weather.
10 to 1, 10 to 2?
10 to 1. I think 3 hours.
Should be good.
I mean, we did pretty well. I mean, we've given a lot of trees in that time, and we're able to have conversation. I think we need a little more
I
resources.
think the first year we did it, we might have done it 10 to 2 when we ran out of trees before noon.
Oh, that's right. That's why we shortened it. That's
Yeah.
right, because 600 went away in like 2 hours.
We need to advertise it as 10 to 1 or while supplies last.
I think, yeah,
That
let's
way, if we
sweet
run out
spot
of
it. Let's
trees,
go in the
hey, man,
middle.
we're
So
out.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna get bombarded with people being like, do I have to be a Conway resident? Do I have to be we're not gonna check your ID.
We're not checking IDs.
Nah. All right, so motion to approve free tree giveaway 3/16, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Faulkner County Historical Museum, Extension
Seconded.
Office. Potential once approved rain location, McGee Center.
Seconded.
Bursted?
Is it
First and
the
second.
motion?
Oh, I know. I
Motion is
Isn't that
first.
She's
motion
asking
first?
for a motion. She's asking
Asking for a motion.
not
Yeah.
making.
She is not making a
Oh.
motion, so you'd have to first, and someone else to second.
It's like
Yes,
approve, whatever it is. Yeah.
So you.
Sounds
first.
great first,
Did you
sure.
also?
Sam first.
I
Amy
did
second.
with you, so it either or.
I don't know how
yeah.
this
Okay.
works.
It's just red tape.
Yeah.
This is some of the stuff I go back and say, who said what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
2 times speed.
Okay. Where were we? So there's that. Arbor Day, we know is gonna be November 2nd. Yoga, we would need to decide on those.
I was gonna say, I had a question
Thanks.
about yoga, which we may have to also table that, but we had gotten a lot of feedback on more events.
Yes.
I think doing more once a month, I don't think that that makes sense. But I don't know if we should like maybe do 2 weekends in a month rather than doing one.
6 months. of-
Yeah. I think that maybe the frequency, I think that they would like that more.
Well, I
We
think
may
in
need to-
June it got hot, right?
Yes.
Because that was our lowest attendance.
Yeah.
was June.
Well, and
And
it
it
was
was-
it was a new location, it was a new
during
time,
lunch.
and I
Double up
would,
April, May.
so a couple things. So I think we may need to think about dates once we get the
Well, and
budget
also
approval, because that's when
budget,
we
yeah,
requested
paying
additional
people.
funds to expand it.
Mhm.
And then the other thought on that is because we were trying to just not only love on Laurel, but go to different locations. And so maybe we could join with Culture in the Park. Like, I don't know if they're gonna do something again, but there's that Culture in the Park.
They
And I
had a
know it's
really
around-
good turnout for that. I think
Yeah.
it'll be an annual deal.
So we
I
can
believe.
make the day before, the morning of. So if we paired with the diversity, and I think, again, back to what do we already have in town and who can we partner with to grow some of these events, because that is.
Well, and I think that Saturday was Amy and I, we had kind of thought Saturday morning, people were just not into that. Yes, it was nicer with it being in July, but Saturday morning, people weren't getting up at 9 a.m. to go do yoga.
Because we moved the time
Yep.
and the location, so it really was a test to kind of that time. So maybe if we pair up with something that's already existing, because we are trying to attract different demographics and different
Yes.
folks to come, and that's why we want to move around town. So
And show people different parks and areas that they might not be familiar with too.
I think that's good.
great works. Yeah. Okay, so maybe we'll table yoga for
Until
next month.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
And we're anticipating having our budget by February when we meet again, beginning of February.
Or we'll have more time maybe to go. Tentative dates. If we get the budget, if
I'll
we
have
don't.
a good
Yeah.
idea of what the budget will be by.
Good enough.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay. So we'll move yoga discussion to February.
I thought they appropriated all the budgets. Did they not?
January, they appropriate last year's funds, and then I think new requests get approved in February.
Oh,
Don't plan anything for January. 'cause You got no
We're
money.
in a freeze right now.
Yeah.
Ain't doing
Every
nothing.
year.
Everybody's coming back
Yeah, the
from
freeze
holidays
bag
anyway,
problem.
so.
So I think we're in the point of the discussion. So we've talked about committees. I know we have bylaw reviews to do. We want to talk about projects, which we didn't really get to get much further than the ongoing and this. I don't think we really have enough full information, but for sake of time, what are your thoughts on like kind of next steps for, because I know we talked about planning workshops, like we want to dig into some bylaws or go to project. I'll let you lead me from here a little bit.
I think bylaws can be reviewed in your own time. Just an idea of projects you guys want to do. I know you've got giveaway, yoga, Arbor Day. I don't know if you want to do art walk again.
Do we still have the
It was
tree?
fun.
It was a great time.
It was fun, but it was also kind of a lot of work.
But
And
maybe
very
we left
windy.
this since we've got the tree now.
yeah.
I mean, that's up to you guys what you want to do as far as projects go this year.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we'll have enough time to approve anything, but just to talk.
I
about it.
liked the one that Tracy passed on this morning, that was, and I've seen this done by groups in lots of different cities, but she passed on that idea of the citizen forester class. I've also heard it
Dale's
called
packet.
tree tenders is another, some states have a program called tree tenders. But that would be relatively easy to do, to get some presenters. I mean, it's just like it's a class. It's
Yeah.
on trees and tree care.
And this is in y'all, and it's like planning, planting, preserving, and promoting. It's citizen forester. And so so first of all, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Up with Trees group. If y'all have never been to Tulsa or checked them out, it is worthy.
Actually, one of the
your time.
oldest tree nonprofits in the country.
Just how they get people engaged, the excitement, how they promote it. Like, it's just a really cool thing. And it's visible in their city. You can see it. And then
I used to live there, and it was a big
awesome.
deal to most people.
Tulsa was a big surprise to me, actually. I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did. But anyway.
So would this like align with like us, which we kind of touched on it last year, but like starting to educate people? Like we were kind of talking about doing those types of things, like more so just educating the community, or maybe even like creating.
Well, I think
What
even
do we call it?
empowering people to
Yeah.
help take care of trees.
Because that's what we were trying to do, was trying to figure out a way to do, maybe not like
Like
an
watering.
eco club, but like something along the lines of like, this is why you should care about these issues, these trees, and here's how you can do it as an individual
When
in
people
your
want,
community.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
What we hear a lot is people want to volunteer. We want to plant trees. We want to help people. We have maybe like 2.
Yeah.
Right, so we don't have a lot of volunteer opportunities, but there is a desire from the community to come out and help support that. And I thought the really cool thing about this program is that it is 4 Saturdays, like 9 to 12 or 9 to 1. They learn about certain things, identification, analysis of soil, planting trees, care, blah, blah, blah. But it's a $75 registration. They get a t-shirt, but there's also a commitment of time once they take this class. They're committing to 15 hours of volunteer work. And so we could either go from that perspective, or I think in terms of maintenance and help and ease of our resources in the city, if we start having volunteers who are helping, right, is there funding that can help support this that then helps the city? I mean, we can model it however we want, but I like that there's a component of, hey, come sign up with us, but then commit to come back and help us, right? And then they're getting their t-shirt, they got their gear, some volunteers, you use those cool gloves I went with the tree board, whatever. And we can get people out to help, right? So,
I love that there's an education component similar to like master gardeners, master naturalists, the 4-session course, to kind of get them really knowledgeable too. I think is fantastic.
well, that's where we can pull in our partner, have the master gardeners come, have forestry specialists come, right? And it doesn't have to be exactly this, but what do we need in Conway to teach someone to help?
I think the most challenging part of this is it really does take ongoing coordination. Which I will say, like master naturalists, they coordinate themselves. They don't have like an umbrella organization that like keeps them, whereas master gardeners, I'm the master gardener coordinator, and it takes actually a lot of my time doing that. So, there might be a way to set it up so it doesn't require like a staff person to be the volunteer coordinator.
So I thought too, so when I talk about funding and leverage, and I know we don't have paid urban forester, right? And so all the things that we're requesting, I understand, like these are all great ideas. Someone has to manage it, follow up with it, keep it doable.
Create the curriculum for it.
And so ultimate goal, personally, and hopefully the tree board, is eventually we would have a paid position on city staff to help manage, right, urban forest, because I think most cities are moving to that, right? And so that would be an ultimate goal, but I think about what's that gap in between. So if we can't get a paid position for that, but we know we need some support because you were pulled in so many different directions, same with you guys. What is the potential to get some grant funding, to get some interns or apprentice position? It's a lower paid position, it's a learning position, succession planning maybe for the city, decrease turn. I think about long-term cost and building up for positions, and is there grant funding available that we could leverage to get an intern or someone to help Spencer, like Spencer, I think in the permit, he's inspections and permitting, and people are talking about yards and trees, and he's out inspecting, and you're super busy out inspecting. Y'all weren't busy at all. I'm just kidding. You're new enroll, right? So would it behoove us to maybe consider looking at some funding to give some relief and support, right? I don't know.
So most grant funds are short-term. And so you hate to be paying salaries with them. And those people will leave before the grant funds run out because they need to know they have a job next year.
Right. Okay.
So.
All right, that's an obstacle. That's a challenge. Any other? It's not a no, it's a challenge. I'm just kidding.
It's just something to be very aware of.
Yeah.
I would talk to Robbie and just put him on the case and see what he can find out.
And see what we can find out, because I know we're asking more and more, right? And as it continues to grow, urban forestry is a hotter topic when we look in terms of climate change and saving resources, when we're looking at planning long-term to do the things that we want to do. We'll save our city and enrich our city long-term, but we don't have that paid position to manage it all. We got to bridge the gap so we can get there. So
I will say, putting on this course, like I could organize it, get the presenters, like I can do that. The part that becomes difficult is, once the course is over with, the people you just trained, are they willing to organize themselves?
So, and I know we had talked a while back about how do we organize that? Would it be through HOAs? Do we have community member, like different subdivision and community members? Would it be, and I don't know, workload or scope of responsibility for master gardeners? Could it be, depending on the time of year and the volunteer efforts, maybe master gardeners then, we take them out on that day, or the master net, can we get our built-in support to help with the ongoing portion of it? I don't know.
Or if we did like some sort of like monthly, or depending on weather conditions, like, I don't know if we can do this as this group, like a call to action, like a monthly thing. Like, here's, we're going to go and we're going to volunteers, whoever wants to come, go and maintain, and maybe we kind of organize it. But now that our people have been trained, we can decide where to go on what day and what to do.
So I can commit, I think it's a great idea, and the tree board can manage it, but I'm here this year. So-
Again,
And as a
about
friend of the tree
longevity.
board, I can support that, but I don't, I'd hate to say,
Right.
that's great, let's commit, and then
And then take off.
see ya. Yeah. I may or may not show up, no, I'm kidding.
Good luck.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot to consider. Maybe this is, too big for this year, but to get it implemented, can we get the program set up? Can we get the funding set up for implementation in 2025 if it's not doable? But I think it's a great program to consider. So
Agreed.
don't know where to go from there on that. Because we're at 5:54. So that was one thing that we definitely wanted to consider. I know, so we won't know more until we hear back from funding, but the professional development for all the city departments. One other thing I'd like to say, this is random, but to take us back, so meetings, we've mentioned several folks, and we're so glad because I was going to request that you came to a meeting, but you did that, so yay. And come back anytime. But I would love to have a meeting where we could have transportation, physical plant, Harold Fisher, who's our Tree City USA consultant, advisor, planning department's here, Parks and Recs is here, but if you think that someone from your departments would like to come and speak and just talk about, here is what our department handles, here is where you could be helpful to us, here are some of the projects that maybe we could include the tree board or considering, and then my brain expands and go, we're more than just a tree board, we are the urban forestry board, so we may even want to consider name change, because we keep saying plant trees, but your urban forest is not just trees, right? Mm-hmm. So I think changing the mindset of the community, ourselves, and how we work with the city, maybe we're more than just the tree board.
I definitely think
Just
that
throwing that
it
out
will
there.
benefit the city. I mean, we work for the city. We are here to benefit the city in this manner, and a collaboration with the other departments so that we can make our time more effective for the city benefits everybody.
One thing I do want to make everybody aware of, the Tree City USA program, they are, I hate to say they're changing their program. They're not really changing the program. They're just, one of the requirements is that there is a tree ordinance, and they are wanting the tree ordinances to be a little bit more effective. And they have flagged Conway's ordinance as not being as effective as they would like.
What do they want?
So does that mean like the continued like maintenance of what we're doing?
So this is what's interesting, because I had told Tracy about this, and they haven't really communicated the exact like how they want it changed. And I've talked with our state Tree City coordinator about this issue, and because he's the one who told me it had been flagged, and I'm like, well, what needs to change? And anyway, they need to be more specific with what they want to change. But my understanding is the big one is that we need to specify who, the tree board doesn't have any regulatory function.
Mm-hmm.
They want some kind of regulatory function. Like
Okay.
who in the city is in charge of the trees? Who really makes the decision?
Who ensures that the trees are planted when they said they're going to be planted?
Who is
the-
taking care of them?
The property owner.
Well,
No.
but the city, the public trees.
Oh.
The ordinance only has to apply to public
Okay.
trees.
Yeah.
But that's something we're trying to determine right now anyway, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, we have three departments, right? that
Wouldn't
handle-
it?
Yeah, should be physical plant.
Yeah.
Or I guess does Parks take care of their own trees?
Well, because like even like some of the trees that we've
take
planted,
our
is it like some of those things?
I don't know how far that
Could
goes.
we not list, we have three departments that function, can we not
I think
list?
that's
who is
possible.
Currently
So I don't think we should like be thinking that we need to
Right.
make any changes right now. We need,
Yeah.
we need more specific information, but,
Take our time.
but I do, and they're gonna allow us like, I think 2 years to make the change, but just to be aware that we are probably going to need to, like beef up our ordinance a little bit in the next 2 years.
Yeah, and we probably.
2 years sounds like a great time frame. I was thinking it was closer to like 2 weeks and I was like, well,
So we have to call it. So, okay, so
motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
Second.
First, I still don't understand. That was great, yes.